This is Strictly John Keith on City Talk 105.9.
Hello, I'm John Keith and welcome back to Strictly John Keith on City Talk 105.9. My studio guest, former Everton and Ireland midfielder Gareth Farrelly, who at the conclusion of the first segment told us the amazing story about how he overcame, or the NHS overcame, his amazing medical emergency, and he now looks fit and well, by the way, I can say that. And Gareth, you've now embarked on a whole new career because you're soon to be a solicitor.
Yeah. Basically, as a footballer, and I'm sure people you'll have sit in front of you will say, after an illness, the first question you always ask is, when can I play football again? And I was lucky when my histology and everything came back that there was no cancer, and that everything had been repaired. I could make a full recovery. Yeah. I was lucky at the time. I'd lost 23 pound in 3 weeks. So as my recovery developed, I was able to do my rehab at Preston, who were incredibly good to me. It was really local to Southport, so I was able to get going again there. And then I signed non-contract forms at Morecambe. Obviously, Jim Bentley's the manager there now. Sammy McElroy was at the time.
Oh, yes, yeah.
And it was sort of a progression back to fitness, and it was something that was really important to me to come back from sort of where I'd been at. But equally, when you're sat at home and you're thinking, oh my God, there's a reality to it now that I might not be able to play again. What am I going to do? Yeah. So I'd always had an interest in the law. Through my time at Morecambe, I'd started to Google different courses. Obviously, again, from a footballer's point of view, it's like a form of institutionalisation. You come out of coming out of the army. The reality is you may have done something and had a career, but you're actually not qualified to do anything else. So I attended an open day at Edge Hill University, and I met a couple of the law tutors, and they were really encouraging straight away. I had an interview with the head of the department, Franco Rizzuto, who was brilliant. So there was a course to be done in the summer for 6 weeks, and if you pass the course, you get access onto the degree programme. Yeah. And during the closed season, I did the course and I passed it, and then the day the course finished, I went back and started pre-season at Morecambe. Right. But my reality was, not that I was always sort of coming from behind, if you like, because of my illness and different things, but I started to realise I was never going to play in the Premier League again. I was quite comfortable with where I was at. So the reality
hit home.
Oh yeah, Morecambe went to Exeter one weekend, and it was a 6.5 hour coach trip, which is the equivalent of a transatlantic flight.
Plenty of thinking time.
Oh my God, I didn't go.
Oh, you didn't go?
I pulled out of it, yeah, because I had it up in my head what the time would be, and it would be to possibly be...
What a good decision.
Oh, I'm telling you now, yeah. To be a sub or to whatever. And that next week, again, in moving away from standard football call, I went to see the manager, and I'm not sure if he half expected me to be going in saying, well, I should be playing instead of whoever. I'm better than him. Why are you not doing it? And I went to him and I said, I've had a letter from Edge Hill. The degree programme starts on the 25th of September and I'm going. Right. And I sort of made peace with it quite well at that. So that was the start of my degree. So I had 3 years at Edge Hill. And as I say, I met some super people that were a huge help. Yeah. I had a really enjoyable time there. And
it's a burgeoning university, Edge Hill, isn't it?
It's incredible, and the growth really and expanse it's done, but the people are very, very grounded, very humble, very ambitious. So I had a great time there. Yeah. And then, as I say, in some ways it's easier to become a footballer than a solicitor. There's a year to be done then at law school as a solicitor, which I'm doing at the moment. Yeah. And then with a view to going into a training contract. So my training contract will be a Liverpool firm, Hampson Hughes, which is a really young, dynamic firm. The partners, I met them, I was hugely impressed with them, and they've given me a brilliant opportunity, really. Fantastic. To become fully qualified. So
great stuff.
It's like steps and progression, but I'm looking forward to finishing law school, and then really excited about working with them, because commercial and sports areas are the areas that
I was going to ask you which
naturally
departments of the law,
going to target, because again, you can't not escape your past, if you like. No. I think when I started, I would have had different designs than what I wanted to do.
Well, you may as well use your past, mightn't you?
Completely.
That's the point
and I think it's your experience as well which put you in a unique position. So I'm not the first. Stuart Ripley used to play for Blackburn.
Yes,
he's a brilliant guy. He's based with a firm in Manchester. Colin Murdoch, who used to play at Accrington.
Oh yeah.
Preston. He did a similar role but became an agent. So as I say, it's an area, from my point of view, I've been lucky, because I know ex-footballers, when they reach that juncture, there's natural routes, coaching, management. I did those things early, so
yes,
I liked it, and I think that's helped me a little bit.
Great stuff. That's a great story. Anyway, to get back to your roots, Gareth, you were born in Dublin in the 1970s, and you've already said you were a great fan of Howard Kendall's 1980s Everton side, who, they won everything that was there to be won, really. But you played for Home Farm, didn't you? Is that right?
Yeah. Home Farm at that time. Ronnie Whelan played there.
Yes, I know. Famous Dublin club.
Yeah, famous.
Oh,
and they had a huge sort of schoolboy section, hugely respected.
Yeah.
And I played my schoolboy football with them. Manager there, Mick Grogan, was terrific. I had a great time.
Yeah, and you played for Ireland schools and youth teams, and then, as you say, your career path took you to Aston Villa, and I think you signed as a 16-year-old on YTS. Is that
no?
Right?
I was lucky, one of the lucky ones. I signed as a pro when I turned 17.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
You skipped all that, did you?
Yeah.
So I think you also went on a loan period with Rotherham while you were at Villa.
It's the best, to be honest with you, it's one of the best times I ever had in football.
Was it?
Yeah. John McGovern and Archie Gamble were the managers there.
Oh, fantastic!
And it was the best education.
What a learning!
Best education I could have had.
Yeah.
Rotherham was a fabulous place. I stayed with a family whose son was at Villa with me. So for the time I was there, it was again starting off as a young lad, and again going from the bright dizzy lights of Aston Villa to Rotherham. I had an absolutely I had a brilliant time there.
That's fabulous.
And it was great.
Yeah.
But again, great way to learn.
Yes.
With people like that around, European Cup winners.
Yeah.
And it was I had people who I played with, the team, that group at that time. I had a fabulous time.
Yeah, but I mean, when you say to learn, you also have to be receptive to learning, don't you? You have to open it up for you to take it on board.
But like you say, that type of environment promotes that.
Yes.
And as I say, I went in there, I made my actual league debut at Bristol Rovers for like 10-15 minutes, and then I played 10 games. So again, coming from, can I do it? Will I be able to do it? I'm not really getting where I want to get at Villa, to go away and be able to answer the questions in a positive way.
Yes.
It was a terrific time.
Great stuff. And you made 9 appearances for Villa under Brian Little, and I gather your debut was at Liverpool in March 1996.
Yeah. The irony for that is now I've made more appearances for the former players at Aston Villa than I have for the real Aston Villa.
Is that right?
Yeah. Not many people will lay claim to that. No, but that was a Villa team at the time that was very, very successful.
Although you lost 3-0 that day, I think.
Yeah, but I'll never forget that Alan Evans was the assistant manager at the time. And I got told in the morning that I was going to be playing after the pre-match meal, and before the game, Alan Evans said to me, Gareth, it might be a little bit tough today, but he said the first 10 minutes will be hard, but after that you're going to be okay. And it was 3-0 after 8 minutes, so the game was actually over. So
is that
steep, steep learning curve.
Goodness me, 3-0 after 8 minutes.
Yeah, Liverpool had a super team at that time, and again, I think I did a lot of running on that day, but I don't think I touched the ball very much.
But I suppose, daunting though it was, again, educational. You learned something.
It was
from
brilliant,
these things,
because again, you're waiting for your debut as a young lad that much. Not the outcome results wise, but to have made the debut was great for me. Yeah,
and then I think I'm right. Your home debut was the following season, a 3-1 win over Everton. Is that right?
Yeah, which in my terms was a game changer, because the reality at that time was, I had a difficult relationship with some of the coaches at Villa, who didn't make my life very easy.
Why was that, Gareth? Were they
hard
taskmasters?
Hard taskmasters, clash of personalities, different elements. Like, I think at some points at Villa I had more full caps for Ireland than I had appearances for Villa, which is a slight question.
We'll talk about Ireland.
Yeah,
I
had a fabulous time at Ireland with Mick McCarthy and Ian Evans. I was under 21 captain, had a brilliant time, and going on the Irish trips was like a release at that time, because I had people who had belief in me.
Yes.
We had a fabulous setup and spirit, and then I'd go back to a difficult Villa situation where I knew in my mind at that time, irrespective of what I did, I was never going to play. Now, the Everton game came about at the end of it would have been a double header where we were away for 2 games, and we came back, and the story's quite funny really, because I had a ritual at Aston Villa that year, because I knew I wouldn't play. I never even brought my bag into the ground, and because I knew they'd name the subs or whatever, at best I'd be a sub, but I was never really required. So I was huge help to the commercial.
You resigned to your fate.
Yeah.
Or what you thought was your fate.
I was huge help to the commercial department. I think that was as far as it went. But on the Friday, I'd been away for 10 days, and a lot of my friends had said to me, "Come on, Friday night, we need to go out, catch up, have a whatever."
Yeah.
And on training in the Friday, I'd trained with the first team, and again, I'd no illusions or designs on playing the next day, but one of the lads said to me, he says, Andy Townsend suspended. Like, you might play tomorrow. And I was like, come on now, standard joke. The kitchen lady's got more chance of starting against Everton tomorrow than I have. So I went home, had a quiet evening, and there was that element of doubt where the lads rang me to see was I ready to go out, and I said, you know what, I'm just going to leave it tonight. So Saturday was the same ritual. Turned up, walked in, no bag, and the lads having a giggle with me, and then team sheet turned over and it was like I was playing. So you can imagine it was just like, oh, hang on, I hadn't scripted this for today. But
and your boots were in your bag, were they?
Our boots were in the car.
Oh, they're in the car?
Yeah, still in the box. not in the box, but basically I played, I got man of the match. It was a great debut. I enjoyed it. It was like an opportunity to sort of play at Villa Park again.
Yes.
Really, really big thing for me with a hugely positive outcome. So that sort of changed the perspective at Villa at that time, because I was out of contract. I'd been offered a contract which was the same as what I was on.
Right.
We went to Wimbledon away on the Tuesday night, but again, I was left out straight away. So I had 5 years there. There was some brilliant people who were supportive to me, but I had a difficult time. And I say now it's like, it's only with a little bit of experience. I think youth is wasted on the young. Yes. Sometimes that you realise I probably engineered and created some situations for myself that I possibly shouldn't have.
Yeah, but clearly Howard was, or rather Everton were reminded that day of what he could do, because it was shortly after that Howard came in. It was his first signing, actually, of his third spell as manager.
Yeah, and as I say,
in July 1997.
Yeah, it was
700,000.
Yeah, that was on the tribunal.
Yes, it was.
Where I went and argued my case why Aston Villa shouldn't be receiving a huge sum from me at the time.
Yeah, because they'd asked a lot more.
Oh, they asked for, I think, a couple of million at the time. Yeah. So it's like everything in life.
Complimentary.
I had
to
no
you
value.
in a way,
I had no value while I was there, but when I was gone, all of a sudden I was worth something. So
very good point. Yeah, that still applies in football.
Yeah. I think the figures have gone a little bit silly.
Oh
now.
yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So and again, that was a different experience, because once, as I said earlier, once I knew Everton were there, there was never really going to be another team for me.
Right, well, there we are. We've got you to Everton. I'm talking to Gareth Farrelly, the former Everton and Ireland midfielder. We'll be talking more to Gareth after this break. Don't go away.
This is Strictly John Keith on City Talk 105.9.